Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Just a shout out to Ubisoft for giving me early access to this hero. They did not have to do it, but they did, and it was pretty sweet of them because the character is fun to play. And yeah, today we're introducing the Varangian Guard. You know, they said it on the Warrior's Den. I really don't remember. However, what they didn't do on the Warrior's Den was actually show you guys everything that this hero can do. And they did show you a good portion of it, but they did not show everything. So this video is going to be explaining everything the character can do, from basic combos to a little bit more of the advanced stuff that I did not see them mention. Now, there may be some things that I mentioned here that they may have mentioned briefly, but there's a couple things that I don't remember seeing at all. So guys, hope y'all do enjoy the video. Without further ado, let's get into the basic combos. Now, I've included the damage numbers in the bottom right so you guys can see it. Basically, I have 2 hit combos. So you got like light, 12 and 14, pretty standard. Now, the lights are both crushing counters. So if they, let's say, dodge my first light and then I, get their dodge attack or something, I can crush and counter, very similar to a Fira. So they're, crushing counters. And they're also enhanced. So if they block it, I can still keep chaining after. It's pretty strong. The only character who has this characteristic is Warlord. It's a pretty strong mechanic. It's not like busted or anything, but it can be very frustrating if you're on like old gen consoles. So if you do light spam, you get some good enhanced light chain spamming. You can also do heavy attacks as well, and the heavies have a special property. I'll go into that here shortly. You can do heavy light. You can essentially do any combo from light and heavy. There's not really a rhyme or reason for what you have to do there. It's just light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy, heavy, however you want to do it. The lights, again, 12, 14, doesn't matter the side. The side heavies do 24 on opening. The top is 27. So that will be your light parry option. In this case here, she's blocking top. So you can't see that. Let me go ahead and make her not block me. Top is 27. There we go. Zone attack does 13 damage. It's only 1 more than the light attack, so it's really not an optimal punish because of the amount of stam, but if you do want that 1 extra damage, you go for it. He does have a neutral bash you can do with the dodge forward guard break, and you can either get a light attack off of it, or you can get a zone attack. Again, I really wouldn't recommend the zone unless there's just a bunch of enemies nearby or something, or you just really think that 1 damage is going to make a difference. Now, on the unblockable finishers, when they do connect, you'll see here that they're like momentarily kind of pinned. You have a special punish you can do after those. Also, the finishers damage 27 on the side and 29 on the top. Actually, pretty high damage for a top-heavy finisher these days. Now, when you do hit the unblockable finisher, you can go into a headbutt. That does guarantee a light attack, and it lets you go back into your chain. So, for example, if I do pin them here, headbutt light, go right back into the mix-up, and essentially you have an infinite combo mix-up. Now, if they do dodge the headbutt, which they can do, it is a free guard break for them, so keep that in mind. You got to use the mix-up here, and the mix-up here is once you pin them, if you wait till like right after the animation's done, you can guard break. It's pretty quick, or you could bait a dodge attack. It's whatever. It's a pretty scary mix-up because of how fast the headbutt is. You can guard break pretty quick after, so pretty scary if you do get pinned. So I feel like more people are going to be inclined to dodge attack and not deal with the unblockable to begin with. But we'll see on that. Now, Varangian Guard does have a full guard ability. Now, it's more like Aramusha's, where you put it down and it just kind of has its own momentary time where it goes into it. I'm holding it and it does not stay. It's only a quick activation. It's meant to be used more of a kind of like a skill timing. I think term is, well, I'd say skill shot, but it's not really a shot. But it's just got to be well timed. So if they throw an attack at me, for example here, you just got to time it right when the attack comes. Now you'll notice they're stunned for quite a while after the full guard. And the reason for that is, 1, it can work on multiple enemies for a pretty decent amount of time. If they keep hitting you multiple enemies, it'll actually increase the duration of the stun so that you have time to get everybody with it. It's pretty nutty. And you have a couple options after. So if I block it, I can throw a light attack, and it works as a light opener. Still has a crushing counter property to it as well. So if I do happen to block them, and someone like try to attack me from the side, and I throw a light that direction, it would crush and counter it, which is pretty nice. And it's pretty cool. But I don't think you're going to be using it that much, because you can also go into your heavy finisher, It is weakened damage. You'll see it's 18 on the side and 20 on the top. You'll probably use the top for duel scenarios. The side's going to be for team fights. And the hitbox, it seems decent, but I don't know for certain. But you're going to mostly use the top in duel side for team fights. And that also goes into your headbutt mix-up as well. So you have the potential to get this 20 damage and then a quick guard break and get like another 24. So pretty good full guard punish. I would say one of the better ones in the game. Now you also have the option to zone after. I really wouldn't recommend that. Mainly because after all these attacks, you normally have, let me phrase it, after the unblockable attack and you pin them, you can go straight back into your full guard to, you know, basically keep yourself from getting punished by another enemy. And with the zone, you cannot do that. That is the fastest you can do it. Same with the light attack. You're better off just chaining into that. Speaking of which, with the full guard, you can actually go straight into it, kind of like soft feint it into the full guard. Similar to how Conqueror can do it with his full guard. Though no one really does that anymore now that he can hard feint it. But you do have that option. You can just go straight into the full guard there. In addition to that, all your recoveries, you can go into that. Or I say all of them. A couple of the specific punishes you can't. For example, like the one I showed you a while ago. You know, with one like this. Takes way too long. Now, one last option you have here is, well, if you press guard break, you can push them. Now, if there's not a wall nearby or a ledge, you're not going to get any use out of it, but if there is a wall, you do get a free top heavy, which is really nice. And it is more damage than that one, so, but this one gives you the mix-up, so it's up to you what's more worth it, because this gives you 27. If you do this, you go straight into this mix-up, so it's up to you. I'm saying it's going to be a great legend tool, because it has some surprisingly good range. Like, look at that range. Pretty gnarly, man. Pretty gnarly. Now, you would think this character has like a mid-chain bash. Well, you'd be wrong. They have no mid-chain bash. The only thing they can do is go into full guard. They can do another light finisher, or they can go into a heavy finisher. That's it. Unfortunately, it's a little disappointing. But the defensive options, I think, more than make up for it. Speaking of which, as far as defensive options go, there is one that's missing. That is surprising, but you cannot fast flow into full guard after blocking. For example here, if she double attacks me with her zone attack, and I block the first, I cannot go into it for the second. Other characters like Black Prior and Aramusha can go into theirs. However, this character cannot. It was a very surprising choice. I can even crush and counter, but that's it. It's very bizarre. One thing to mention, as far as the zone attack goes, this is the only full guard in the game that will actually stop zone attacks. Typically, zones will go straight through. That's why you have cases like Warden and Centurion and Lawbringer that can like zone full guards and then get like a parry punish off of it. Although Lawbringers was recently changed. But not with this character. Anytime an attack hits it, it will stop the opponent. It binds them is the term that Ubisoft's using. And you have a very long time to do your punish, by the way. Like, you could wait near the end of the punish and still get it. It's pretty gross, actually. Now, this character does have a couple of dodge attacks as well, including a dodge top light and a side dodge attack. And they all have crush and counter properties, similar to Tiandi, but they're not undodgeables. I will say, though, the side light seems to have a pretty generous amount of iframes. It's actually, you have to go pretty early into the attack to get a crush and counter on it. I say that, as far as iframes go, and I eat that. But yeah, they can crush and counter, which is pretty cool. And they still just kind of like a chain opener, so you still just have light and heavy finisher. But the crush and counter is nice, so 20 damage instead of 14, which is the normal dodge attack damage on the side. Top's just 12. And, pretty good dodge attacks. Though the iframes on the dodge attack, I'm not quite sure at this point. I thought they were very good. They're very good if you go into the attack, it seems like, but if you go the opposite way, they really don't work as well. And you can also fast flow into your full guard after these as well, which is nice. As you can see, crushing counters do 18 damage, and that is the same on every side. And the chain crush counters do 20 damage. Now, I would appreciate a like on the video, because that was very hard to do with a bot. It is so hard to time that. So if you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like on the video for that effort, that took a good few minutes to finally time a light, because if you get too far away, they don't want to throw anything. There we go. That one actually took not too long. It only worked with the top heavy because it was slower. Now, the couple of things that they did not mention, which they really didn't confirm it, but one was the full guard after block. They didn't mention that, and, you know, for good reason, but I figured at this point that was kind of the standard. I don't know why they didn't do it. Maybe because the bind is really strong. I'm not sure, but you can't do that. Secondly, you have a dodge cancel after the bind, which is interesting. You could go into somebody if you wanted to and do that. I really wouldn't recommend doing that, but you have that option as well. It's weird. It's a dodge cancel. And now it does say it in the moveset, but they just didn't say it on the Warrior's Den. In addition, you also get the same dodge cancel after you've pinned somebody. So you do this, and the enemy comes to punish you. And let's say it's like an unblockable or something, so your full guard's not going to do anything. You can dodge out of the way and do something else, which is really cool, and I like that. I think this is going to make a big difference with Varangian guards, or Varangian, however you say it. I'm never going to remember, on the battlefield. Now let's go properly into punishes here. And I've mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you can get a zone, or a light attack, or a dodge forward light on these heavy attack parry punishes. Now, I would just say light attack's your best bet, but you use your own discretion if you want to use 30 stamina for a zone or not. You can also bash, but there's no purpose of that, as you just get a light, and there's no stamina drain, so unless you're trying to ledge somebody, I really wouldn't recommend it. Or if you are trying to ledge somebody, you might as well just go for the full guard punish and just, you know, shove them to the wall. Now, light attack punish is, of course, top heavy for 27 damage, and that can go into any unblockable or a chain light, depending on your preference. And again, the full guard is pretty quick. You could just react to red to it if you wanted to, and just use it as like a parry, but, you know, light parry punish is going to be more. It just really depends on what you value. If you want the mix-up, it might be better to do that, and then go for your mix-up option, or, you know, the ledge opportunity, whatever it is. Otherwise, just light parry punish, obviously. Just the top heavy. For guard breaks, you only get side heavy. If you try top heavy, it is indeed blockable. So do not do top heavy. It will not hit unless your opponent is silly. For your out of stand punishes, they're honestly not that crazy, and they're basically the same for parry and guard break. But if you get a guard break, you just throw them either to the side or behind you, and you get a light and a heavy. And this works again from behind or to the sides. If you do it to the front, they are usually too far from you unless there's like a wall or something, and it won't hit. Now if you do a zone, it'll probably hit, which you can do zone on any of these punishes. Again, that's going to use a lot more stamina. That's up to you, of course, if that's what you would like to do. There's a wall there, so I don't know if that would have connected. It's best just do light into heavy unless you, again, think you need that 1 damage. And again, zone to heavy does work on forward throw, but light to heavy does not. So you're safe just throwing them to the side or throwing them behind you and just doing a light into heavy. And it's, again, the same on parries. Light into heavy or zone into heavy. And do it top heavy for max damage. It's 29. The sides are 27. And overall, it's going to get you about 42 damage if you do a zone, or 41 with a light attack. And with this punish, your heavy finisher does not pin them since they are on the ground when you do hit them. Now, I am not able to delay it enough to make it connect to, like, get them in the stun. But if you guys are able to, that is awesome. But I have not been able to get that to connect, and I have not been able to find a consistent setup to make it connect. So y'all let me know in the comments if y'all do end up getting this to connect. One more time before we get to the feats, I want to show you guys again what recoveries you cannot use the full block on. That includes your bashes, including this one. You can't go straight into full block very quickly. You also can't do it after your headbutt pin. You can't use it after the headbutt. You can use it directly after the pin, but you can't use it after the headbutt. So no bashes into it. It does not work that way like it does like Conqueror, for example. It does not work after your light punish with the full guard, and it does not work after your zone punish after the full guard. It does work after your heavy because it goes straight into the pin. And it does not work on the bash after full guard. Alright guys, so we're going to go over the perks and feats. Now you would think this character would have the heavy feats, but they do not. They have the ones that are focused more on stamina and, you know, healing and stuff like that. So this character will not have the heavy feats. They're not going to have Vengeful Barrier or Bastion or any of those. So this character is not going to be getting a bunch of like damage negation aside from their feats, which we will get into here shortly. Now for feats, you're probably going to be using their primary ones, which they've already shown. The first one is called Take Shelter. You superior block an enemy, nearby allies get a heal. The heal is pretty high. They showed it on the Warrior's Den. I think it's going to end up getting a nerf at some point, but we'll move on. Second one, it is superior block attack. Gives you a defensive boost for a short time. It's pretty good. This one seems pretty good. Acer Aura, if that's how you pronounce it. Whenever you pin an enemy with your unblockable, you start putting out like a pulse, which is going to give you and your teammates an attack boost. And it's not a super high percent. I believe it is 20% at most, which is pretty decent for a passive, I will say. And then lastly is Reclaim the Land. This is essentially a baby spear storm that drops a doom banner where it lands. So good, decent damage. And it's just, in my opinion, just a worse option than the Fire Flask. I think Fire Flask would have been a better option. But for a support hero, I mean, that makes sense. Now, the alternate feats for these, which they did not show in the Warrior's Den, on your tier 1 slot, you have Body Count and Speed Revive. Now, Speed Revive, you know, may be a good support option, but I think this first one is just so strong right now. There's no reason not to use either of these other two. I mean, you'll heal more just from Spear blocking enemies than you would heal from like an entire wave with Body Count, man. I mean, it's crazy. Second one here, you got Thick Skin and Thrilling Comeback. Now, you may get some revenge because of your Superior Block and all your chain CCs and everything, you know, keeping you alive for probably quite a bit, but this one's, I mean, you get a defensive boost just for crushing, countering, or using your full guard. So again, I don't see you ever using these. Now for this one, you might use Punch Through just because you do increase block damage with your heavies and your lights, and because they're all enhanced, that would add up over time if you do end up hitting with a lot of lights or zones or something. However, you got an unblockable, and you're going to mostly be supporting teammates anyways. So it's going to be better, in my opinion, just use the aura here. But again, that's on you. And you also have Protected Revive, which nobody's used since like 2019. And then for your tier 4s, there's just a bunch of healing ones. Regenerate for just self-healing, and then Stalwart Banner. Regenerate might be worth it if you're playing like Elimination more. Stalwart's good if you want to counter out some like Fire Flasks or something, or maybe some bleed left from a Nail Bomb. But Reclaim the Land's also good. So this is the only one I could see actually being filtered out because, like I said, it's like a baby Spear Storm with, you know, a defense banner, when I think other tier 4s from other teammates might be better, like Scout, for example, or really just something that could just straight up kill. It might be better just to have a Stalwart. And guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all did enjoy. Again, special shout out to Ubisoft for giving me early access to the hero. Really nice of them. They didn't have to do it, but they did it anyways, and I'm very much appreciative. I will be streaming all day when this hero does come out tomorrow. So if you guys haven't already, go follow me on Kick and Twitch. They are doing Twitch drops, which will get you steel and all sorts of other goodies. And I'll be doing a subathon on Kick. So if you guys would like to support me over there and, you know, just do whatever, come hang out, play some games, love to see you guys over there. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy or learn something new. Subscribe, and I will catch you next time.